Next, what I wanted to do was go through playlisting a little bit, both creation and sharing. So um, to start off, anytime you get into your tenant, right, when you log in, whether it be on a platform side or a tenant side, once you get into that tenant, you're going to see this drop down up here, and this is our player. This works just like every other player that you've ever used. You click a song, it plays it, you can go to the next, you can do whatever you need to do. You can manage your playlist right here in short, but I'm going to show you some cool features here in just a second of how to do that a little bit better. Um, but this is where our player lies. If you click the little music button right here, the little eighth notes, you can hide that and make it go up, get a little bit bigger screen, or you can use it as a drop down to show that player. Now, you can always go to a release, right? We just got into a release and we can go to one of these tracks in view and we can click play, right? So it's going to play that track. It's not going to affect our playlist that's right here, that's held there, but it will play that track. So you can do that anywhere in OpenPlay, whether it be in catalog, which I'll show here. Let's go into releases. So if we're here in releases and right, we have these two views. We've got our view of all of the cover art, and then we also have our view of all of the metadata along with the cover art. So right here, right, we can go off to the right and you'll see this little preview of all the tracks, and we can press play right here and listen to that track. We can go into the release like I showed earlier and play that. We can also go into any track or any audio tab in OpenPlay and click play right here as well. So just if you need to hear a song that is in your OpenPlay tenant, then you can always play it. Now, the next part is you can click this plus and go add to playlist. So let's say I wanted to add this to this playlist. I just click the plus and now, hey, look, it showed up here. So I can do that for each of these individually. Or if I'm in an album, I can go to my details tab and go down to my tracks list. And I can either go to, say, add disc to current playlist or add a new playlist. So let's say West With You demo. We'll add this playlist here. So there we go. We've got our 3 songs on the album. West With You by the Explorers, coming out never, but best album you've never heard. So we can also do that with any of these releases, right? You can go in here and you could add more tracks from this catalog view as well by pressing that plus. But now that we've created this this playlist, we've got West With You demo. We can move these songs around by clicking them and holding them and moving them, or we can remove a song by clicking the little X up here. Now, this is great if you're just doing it on the fly. Maybe just you're trying to listen to a couple songs in your catalog, whether for pleasure because you love your artists, which I hope you all do, or if you're trying to maybe get like an idea of, hey, I want to send these 8 songs or these 12 songs or these 2 songs for pitching, and I want to get them in this order. So you can absolutely do it from there, or you can go into your playlist area. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go to manage. So right now, what you can do is you can go into this playlist, right? We can go into playlists here, or we can go into the specific playlist, and we have some options. So this is just viewing it currently. We can go and edit it right here on the top right, where this pencil is, and we can change the title. We can move these songs around should we need to. We can also remove songs from here. So let's just save these changes. And we can download the audio should we need to, the MP3s or the original files from this. And then also we can kick this up to our player. So let's say we had a different playlist going. We can use this little 8th note to kick it up into our player. Now, that's all great, super useful, but now let's talk about sharing. So we can share right here by clicking share. So it will give me 3 options. I can either share this with OpenPlay users, with an email addresses, or shareable links. I always recommend email addresses, and I'll show you why in just a moment. But if you want to do a shareable link, we absolutely can. It's not a big deal. So let's say share with OP webinar. I'm going to share this with you. I'm going to warn you, it is not the most exciting playlist ever, but it's good because it's a bunch of pads. It will be the most relaxing playlist you listen to all week. So after this, you set an expiration date. All playlists in OpenPlay have an expiration date, mainly because we don't want your content sitting out there forever and a day to be exploited by anyone who gets their hands on a link. So we will always force you to create a expiration date to keep your content safe. But we also give you the option to do everywhere from 1 week to a year. So you really have a lot of room to play with. If you allow download for specific people, then you can actually, have them download it, and then they have that access to the original file or an MP3. And this is where those settings are. So we can allow download of processed audio, which would be an MP3 that we process, or the original audio files. Let's say you're sending something for pitching to radio or for Spotify or something, and you really want that user to be able to download that audio file. Or maybe you want them to access embargoed audio. So maybe in the tenant, you have set an embargo on the audio until a certain date. If it does have that audio embargo, if you send the tracks and the playlist out with embargoes on the audio, they will not be able to listen to that because it is embargoed until a certain date. So you can also use that in your favor. Let's say if you want to send out a playlist that has an entire album on it, and you've embargoed maybe the top 2 tracks that you're waiting until 2 weeks before the release date for people to listen to. You can do that, and it will come to that date, to that 2 weeks beforehand, and it will allow them access to that. Or you can just allow them access to embargoed audio. Beyond that, we can limit access to US IP addresses only. And this is the one I will recommend every single time that everyone does. Again, we want to be secure with how we share all of our audio outside of our company, right? So generate and require an access code. Please, for all of our sake, do it. It's going to make everyone and your security team way happier. But we'll generate and require an access code. The rest we'll just leave off for the time being, but let's go ahead and generate this. So now I've gotten a shareable playlist URL along with an access code. So what I'm going to do is I am going to drop this in the chat for everyone to take a look at. I think I have to stop sharing. So give me 1 second. Everyone can take a look at this. And here is the access code because I want you guys to be safe in your sharing. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen again. So if you're already ahead of me, then you are there. But let's go ahead and visit this link. You'll see this cool little view that says, hey, this is OpenPlay and OpenPlay Records. Here's our little logos, and there's our playlist access. I will drop my code in there and continue. And now I have access into the player. So this is the view that anyone that you've shared this playlist with will be able to see. They can play the songs. Many of you are already probably hearing the soothing sounds of a pad, but you can share the songs. If I allowed download, there would be 3 little dots here that I could download each individual song, or I could download all audio here on the left. That is one of the options. But you have some basic metadata here about the label, the release name, band, release date, genre, so on and so forth. So the other cool thing is whoever sent it, your email is going to be shared in here. So if it's just shared by, and if I click this, you can see it's going to say mail to christian.cooley@openplay.co. That's my email. So someone can go in and they can say, hey, Christian shared from XYZ OpenPlay label. They shared this to me. I'm going to send them an email and I can just click on their name right here and it will bring up a mail too. So super, super useful. Now, since we've done this, I'm going to just go through and I'm going to say, hey, I listened to half that song and let's go to the end of this one. Okay. So Now that I have listened to a little bit of this, I am going to reload this page. So before this, there wasn't a shared dot here. This was a hollow circle. Now, since this dot is filled, we know that it's been shared out. Also, now that this drop down is here, we can see, hey, look, this was shared with OP webinar. Here's the link that we used. Here's the expiration date. Here's the amount of plays that we've had, the number of downloads that we've had if we allowed downloads, as well as the percentage played. So here's where I get into what I was talking about earlier. Links are awesome. And we love it because we get this data back. We know how many plays have happened. We know how many downloads have happened, as well as the percentage of every song played. Super cool. But when we add individual emails, so when we go into share, we say email addresses, and then we have you add names using this format. So let's say Amadeus Mozart with his email right here. When you do that, what will actually end up happening is each and every one, and you can include a note, which is awesome, a personalized note. But let's say I sent it to 20 people at the same time, right? I dropped all their emails in there. I added my note, said, thanks for listening to this. Please, for the love, put me on Spotify in the #1 spot. But every single one of those emails would show up here as a line, and I would be able to see how many times they played the song, how many downloads they had, and how much a percentage of the song they have played, which is super useful, as I'm sure many of you that do pitching or have teams that do a lot of pitching, they would love some of that data back. So I recommend doing emails when you can. Absolutely do links as well. But I'm sure if let's see, let's reload this. Let's see how many of you played it. Okay, we've got a couple in there. So anyways, but point being, this allows you two things. One, if your pitching person says, hey, person at I'm just going to pick on Spotify today. I'm sorry, Spotify. Person at Spotify that's a playlister. How'd you like song 2? How'd you like Into the Mountains? And you see they played it once, and they played it all the way through. They're like, oh yeah, it was good. We really, really liked it. And let's just say, for the sake of argument, Colorado had 0 plays and 0% played. If you happen to say, hey, how did you like Colorado? Knowing that they hadn't played it, and they said they loved it, it's their favorite song ever, it's going on every playlist ever, you may be able to suspect something suspicious. I'm not going to say call them out. I'm just going to say it's good information to have. So anyways, we really love the playlisting feature, as well as if you have any associated EPKs that this playlist has been added to, that data will show up here as well. Before I get into that, which is a perfect segue, I did want to ask, does anyone have any questions on the playlisting features, sharing features, anything along those lines? Open it up.
I wanted to ask a question, if you don't mind.
Please.
If you share, you can share a track and then you kind of take the download option and you have people downloading the tracks. What is it preventing the recipient from leaking that track without having watermarking in place?
So hopefully you've shared it with someone that is trustworthy. So the basic thing that you'll be able to know, obviously, once someone has, let's say, an MP3, or let's say the original file, because we do allow the if you've uploaded a WAV, right, we can have that downloaded. The one thing that you can do is you can obviously say, hey, I sent it to 5 people and I've gotten 5 downloads. That's what I expected. Then that's good to go. Once it leaves OpenPlay's hands, obviously we can't do much about it in the way of preventing someone from sharing it past that point. Similarly, if you sent someone a Dropbox link, once someone downloads it, it's up to them to make the right decision. But if you do have, let's say you only sent it to 5 people and suddenly you see 10 downloads, you can delete this playlist immediately and it will take all of this down. Similarly, if you, let's say, sent out a playlist and you wanted to add a song, or maybe you wanted to change the order of the songs for whatever reason, these are live playlists. So if I moved song 2 to position 1, you guys would see, and I can do that right now if anyone visits the link. It just gave me a warning to say, hey, this is shared out and it's going to update. Are you sure you want to do that? So if I move song 2 to position 1, whenever you guys visit that link that I sent, you'll now see Into the Mountains is track 1 and West with You is track 2. So that is will automatically update. Again, similarly, if I deleted this, then none of you would have access to this playlist ever again. So you can stop if you see something that is suspicious. You can kind of nip that in the bud right then and there. But we haven't had to date. We haven't heard of anyone getting in there and sharing it beyond the walls of where it should be going. So to my knowledge, it's very safe.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Anytime.
I was
Sorry?
just going to ask whether watermarking was a feature that you guys were looking at by any chance.
Yeah, it is. We've actually talked with a handful of some of the best watermarking companies in the world. It is possibly a feature that we may include. It would be an additional fee to have that feature, but it is something that we've looked at and may be implementing in the future.
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely.